Well, I'm here in camp enjoying my last morning on the Foothills Trail. I thought I would take some time to share with you the things that I have liked and disliked about this trail. It might help you make a decision if you're considering doing it yourself, whether it's a section hike or doing the full trail. So first of all, I love the community around this trail. There are so many people who are trail maintainers, who are passionate about the trail. The Foothills Trail Conservancy, the members and the volunteers just do a great job of taking care of this trail. And that's something that's really cool to see. In the local area, having people who are passionate about trail, who want to step up, take care of it, take pride in making it neat and clean, cleaning up any blowdowns after storms and things like that is amazing. So kudos to all of you. You're doing a wonderful job. Another plus of the trail is that there are several designated campsites. They're generally, 5 to 6 miles apart, but there's some that are just 1 or 2 miles apart. They're fairly close together, so you can plan your day accordingly in most areas, except when there are places that you can't camp, like along the Whitewater River corridor, and there's signs up there that you can't camp. They are established campsites. They have cleared spots, not always level, but cleared. This looks like a nice place to spend the night. Other times they have benches and fire rings, but no privies. And those sites are nice, except for the fact that every single one that I camped at had lots of dead trees. And I don't know if those trees are dead from the storms or what the cause is, but it's kind of scary when you have no place else to camp other than hiking 5 more miles at the end of a long day. Don't do this at home, kids. Those trees don't look good. But it's kind of scary to see that, and it would be a good idea, I think, for them to take some of those trees down and make those campsites seem a little safer. And I did wonder, as I was looking at the trees, I was like, have they just not leafed out yet? I suppose that's possible. It's late March, but I think by now most of them should be starting to leaf out. So if I'm wrong and they're alive, feel free to comment down below and let me know, hey, Joey, you're stupid, you don't know those trees. But anyway, it did seem like there was a lot of downed trees and a lot of deadfall, although if there is deadfall on the campsite, people have come in and cut it back so that people can still get in their camp. So the campsites are lovely, and that's nice. There are a few places that you can kind of camp along the side of the trail, but most people just use the established sites. I tell you, these trail maintainers are very thoughtful about providing water. The water sources are amazing. I have never been on a trail where I've had to carry so little water. I think most every day I was only doing about 1 liter to 1.5 liters, because every couple of miles at least you would have water, which is wonderful. A few of them were dried up. A few of them were kind of low down and hard to get to. But even if that was the case and I had to bypass a water source, I knew there was one coming up very quickly. And there were a couple days on the trail that were much hotter than I expected. The first full day that I was hiking hit 90 degrees. And I swear, I think I drank 5 liters of water that day, 3 to 4 on a couple of other days that were very hot. So it's nice to have so much water and not have like water anxiety like you get on trails like the Tahoe Rim Trail that are dry. So I loved having the water sources. The bridges were beautiful. It's so cool to be able to just cross a bridge and not have to ford a river. I did not have to get my feet wet in a river once. I don't really mind that, but at the same time, if it's rushing water, if it's slippery rocks, then there's always that added degree of difficulty. So all of those little bridges are just beautiful, picturesque, really nice. A negative is that although you can hear the birds singing, I have not heard birds singing all week. And it's kind of weird to wake up in a campsite and think, there's no birds singing, what's going on? And I had bears in my campsite one night, so that was, the only wildlife that I heard. No squirrels, no chipmunks. I don't know where everybody is. I don't know where all the animals are hiding, but I have not seen them. Didn't see a single snake. One lizard, just one. And you hear things, rustling around in the leaves, and you can kind of tell what they are if you really listen carefully. Snakes make a certain noise, lizards make a certain noise. But I really didn't see much wildlife at all, and that made me kind of sad. So it's such a beautiful trail, such a remote trail. Where's all the wildlife? And I did go through some burn sections, so naturally I would assume that maybe they weren't around because of the burn. But in areas like this where it hasn't been burned, I don't know why there's not a lot of wildlife and not a lot of birds singing, but I missed that. I like the company of the wildlife. Even though I heard there were a lot of stairs on this trail, I didn't realize how many. Lots of stairs. I tried counting for a little while, but I think I had at least 300, which makes me wonder in like one 12-mile stretch, if there's 300 stairs, how many there are on the whole trail. I have not been counting. I'd like to find out. I understand why they have to put stairs in certain places, because the terrain is too steep or too soft for people to be climbing up. It would just destroy the trail. Although I much prefer to hike on just natural trail. Rocks, if you have to use those for steps or, logs and that sort of thing, I'm fine with that. But cutting stairs and putting stairs in just seems so kind of not leave no trace to me. So I guess I just sort of have some kind of a psychological objection to stairs. But I understand they have their place, and they have certainly gotten me through this trail in areas where I would not have gone through. So I am thankful for that and for the hard work that the people did to put those in. The heat and the humidity has kind of been a downside, and you can't control the weather, but I was hoping that doing the trail in late March, it would be a little bit cooler, being springtime. Definitely didn't want to do it in April or May when it's super hot and super humid. That did cause me to struggle a little bit on some days, so I kind of wondered, should I have come a little bit earlier? If I did, then I would have been dealing with nights that were, in the 30s, maybe in the 20s. So it's a trade-off. How much do you like heat and how much do you like cold? So that's something you'd have to choose for yourself. I love that this trail is fairly accessible, although lots of ways to get here involve a hike in from an access area. And it's not like you can't just park and get on the trail. In a way, that's good, because it means that there's just not a lot of random people hiking the trail. Some trails, they're just, how do I say this? There's some people who are out there because they've got no other place to go. This trail, people are out here because they want to be out here. They're out here because they enjoy hiking. And although that meant that it was lonely and there were not a lot of people out here, it also meant that when I did meet people, they were really happy to be here. They were enjoying their hike. And so that's kind of a trade-off as well. You can have a really busy place, and I guess I camped alone every night except for last night because there are people here at the campground. That can be kind of lonely too. And if you're uncomfortable camping alone, I'm sure that would be unsettling. Just kind of lonely though. It's definitely nice to have people around in the evenings to talk to, or other hikers to just stop and chat with. And I did see a few more hikers the past couple of days, so that was nice. People coming from Table Rock and heading down towards 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐿. And I ran into a hiker who watches the channel, which is really fun. I had a good chat with Tim, and he was probably close to my age. And we talked a lot about, as you get to this age, what's the right kind of hiking to do? And do you need to through hike, or is it better to section hike, and that kind of thing. So that was nice. I really do love meeting people on the trail and getting a chance to chat with them, find out where they're from, why they're out, that sort of thing. So for me, a trail that's a little bit more populated is more fun. And a trail like this that is just quiet and peaceful is nice if you really want the solitude. And the solitude has been good for me. It's given me a chance to think about a lot of things. But that can be positive or negative depending on how you look at it. So all in all, the pros and cons measured out, I think that this would probably not be my favorite trail. I know it is a lot of people's favorite trail, but I think because of the state that the trail is in right now, not as it used to be before the storm, for me, it's too quiet. And I found that all of the dead trees and the burn areas and everything else were just kind of sad. It just made me sad. So much brown, so much black. And I was really hoping to get a springtime hike. And looking at the plants, I could see that the flowers are just about to burst forth in spring color. I saw a lot of teeny tiny wildflowers. I saw a lot of buds, but not the lush green that I had imagined I would find on this trail. So that's just an accident of timing, and of course weather controls that too. But I think it just wasn't the experience that I was hoping for. It was a good experience, and I'm happy with what I did, but I think that if I was going to choose a trail to hike again, it would probably be a different one. So I can do a video of that later about what my favorite hikes are. But this one, it was cool. It would be fun to come out and do some section hikes in here, and just different times of year, see how the trail looks. I might come back in the fall. Got a couple people who've already volunteered to come out with me in the fall and do those last two sections, so I might do that. But yeah, all in all, I guess I'd maybe give it 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. But that's my rating, so I'm not telling you don't come out and do it if it's not a 10 out of 10. You certainly might enjoy it. You might love it, and that's totally just a matter of perspective. So anyway, those are my thoughts, and I hope they're helpful to you.